3 more international windows, and then we have the World Cup. The United States will play in October of 2025, November of 2025, and then March of 2026. After that, Pochettino will have to call up the US Men's National Team World Cup roster in late May. But today we're going to be focusing on the very first opponent that we have in this October camp, which is Ecuador. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And today we have the ultimate Ecuador versus United States match preview. This is how it's going to go. So first, we're going to go through when and where to watch this game, the record between both sides. And then we're going to go through some news and updates on the US Men's National Team and their projected starting 11. Last but not least, we're going to do a deep dive into our opponent, Ecuador, so you're going to want to stick around. And obviously by now, make sure to drop a like in the video if you haven't already. And listen to this, because unfortunately, I have bad news. So I know a lot of you sometimes are bothered by ads, but we got to pay the bills, so we need ads. So I decided to call my dad because I had this suspicion that he is a billionaire and he's just, trying to teach me a lesson, have me to work hard and be humble. So he hid that from me for many years. So I called him, I said, listen, look, I clearly can take care of myself, got a job, and I pay my own bills, and I graduated in college many years ago because I'm very old. So you can cut the crap. You already taught me hard work and how to be humble. I'm very humble. I'm one of the most humble guys you'll ever meet. So give me a couple $1 million and I don't have to run ads on my YouTube channel. I can just do it for fun and that's all. But unfortunately, I found out that my dad is not actually a billionaire. So not even a millionaire. So I'm going to have to keep running ads. Which means this video is brought to you by Umbro, but more on that later. Make sure to drop a like if you haven't already. Let's try to hit 1,000 likes. Let's roll the intro and start the episode. The U.S. Men's National Team is set to face Ecuador this Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time at the Q2 Stadium in Austin, Texas. A great stadium, by the way. I've been there a few times. I loved it. And if you have the opportunity to visit it, make sure you do so. Now, if you're in the United States, you can watch this game on TNT, HBO Max, Universo, and Peacock. And of course, we will be doing a live watch along here at Tactical Manager TV. So if you want to mute the professional commentary on TV, you can come here on YouTube and listen to the unprofessional commentary. And listen, the co-founder of this channel and producer, Dustin, he's Ecuadorian American. So I made this bet with him that if the United States beats Ecuador, he's going to have to go to Montana with Spicy Jeff for 3 days. And if the United States loses to Ecuador, nothing happens. It's a very one-sided bet, which makes sense because I don't like losing bets. So I either give up on them, I cheat, or I just never agree to them. And just to be honest, Dustin never really agreed to this, but I'm saying this is a bet that we're going to have. I am going to convince him. And good luck to him. Hopefully the United States doesn't beat Ecuador because I don't think 3 days with Spicy Jeff at Montana is a good thing. I heard he has a cabin. Throughout history, both teams have faced each other 15 times. And it's very even, with 5 wins for the United States, 5 wins for Ecuador, and 5 draws. And both of them have not really faced each other in the post-COVID era. The last time both clashed was in 2019, and the United States got a 1-0 win, and the goal scored was by Jassy Zardes. Both teams have changed quite a bit since. And with that said, now we're going to talk about the US Men's National Team. But before we do so, make sure that you check out the link and promo code in the description of this video, because now we are Umbro ambassadors. So if you use the link and the promo code, you'll get 20% off any purchase, anytime at the Umbro website. You can buy anything, and it can even be a week from now or tomorrow or right now. You can also send this link and promo code to your family and friends, and they'll get 20% off anything and everything on the website. In my opinion, the best deals are the jerseys because you can get them for much cheaper than other brands. So you do you, whatever you need. Check out the link in the description and use our promo code. Okay, now let's talk about the US Men's National Team. In terms of news and updates, I think the best thing that I can do to provide you with information is quickly go through the roster and talk about a few notable names that are missing. After that, we can go through the projected starting 11 for Friday. Okay, so the goalkeepers that Mauricio Pochettino called up were Chris Brady from the Chicago Fire, Matt Freese from New York City FC, Patrick Schulte from the Columbus Crew, and Matt Turner from New England Revolution. The defenders were Max Arfston, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Alex Freeman, Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream, Chris Richards, Anthony Robinson, and Miles Robinson. Now keep in mind, when I say defenders, that's a mix of center backs and fullbacks. And I know many don't see Max Arfston as a defender because he kind of does everything besides defend, but he is listed as a defender by the U.S. men's national team themselves. Now, midfielders, we have Brendan Aronson, Diego Luna, Weston McKennie, Aiden Morris, Christian Roldan, James Sands, Tanner Tessman, and Malik Tillman. The forwards, which would be center forwards and wingers, we have Patrick Agiman, Folarin Balogun, Christian Pulisic, Tim Weah, Haji Wright, and Alejandro Zendejas. A few of the names that are missing that I would say are more notable or players that could actually help this team. Serginho Dest, because he's, I guess, semi-injured or just resting. Johnny Cardoso, that has an ankle injury. Tyler Adams, because his wife just had a kid. Ricardo Pepi, due to a muscle injury. Musa and Scally, because Pochettino just doesn't rate them, apparently. Or I guess Scally did donuts with a golf cart in camp, and that pissed off Mauricio Pochettino, allegedly. That's what the streets are saying. And then you have also Noah Kai Banks from Augsburg, the very young and promising center back that probably should be there ahead of Miles Robinson, but he's not. With that said, what will be the projected starting 11 to face Ecuador, which essentially is just a calculated guess. I don't know what Pochettino will do. You don't know what Pochettino will do. Pochettino doesn't know what Pochettino will do. So I'm going to do a calculated guess based on what he's done in previous camps and what it might look like against Ecuador. So it's probably going to be a back three, and it'll be something like a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-4-3 formation, whatever you want to call it, even though very often when he did it, it looked more like a 3-4-2-1. And the goalkeeper will likely be Matt Freese. That's the number one, as long as his head is fine, because he had a bit of a head injury when he was playing for New York City FC a few days ago, but I think Matt Freese is okay. The right center back will likely be Mark McKenzie, possibly Miles Robinson, because we've seen Pochettino play Miles Robinson almost as a right back before, but I think he's going to go with Mark McKenzie. The central center back, the same that he had last camp, will probably be Chris Richards, and the left center back, Tim Ream. The right wing back will be Alex Freeman. He might try Tim Weah there, but I think he'll start with Alex Freeman. The left wing back, I have to assume it's going to be Anthony Robinson instead of Max Arfston. The double pivot midfield, without Tyler Adams, without Johnny Cardoso, I'm assuming it'll be Tanner Tessman next to Weston McKennie. The left attacking midfielder in the 3-4-2-1 formation will be Christian Pulisic. The right attacking mid, I think it's going to be Malik Tillman, which is a bit of the role that he's playing with Leverkusen. And then the center forward will be Folarin Balogun. Yep, that's the projected starting 11 for the United States. Now, make sure you drop a like in this video if you haven't already. And why don't we talk about Ecuador? And let me start by saying that Ecuador is a very strong team. Right now, stronger than the U.S. men's national team. And even though this is a friendly, they're gonna go for the win. And I'll explain that very soon, because there's a reason for that. And understand that Ecuadorian soccer has been on the rise the past two cycles. They were already quite good in the 2022 cycle and in the 2022 World Cup, despite getting grouped. They were actually the youngest team in that edition of the World Cup, even younger than the US men's national team. Now this cycle, Ecuador has taken it to the next level. They finished in second place in World Cup qualifying in CONMEBOL, which is a very tough World Cup qualifying, right? The United States probably would not finish top three. And Ecuador actually started their campaign with -3 points. They had -3 points due to some court case with a player named Brian Castillo. Apparently he had falsified a passport, allegedly, something like that. So they lost 3 points. That's not really relevant for this video, why they lost 3 points, but they started with -3 points and they still finished in second. Only Argentina was ahead of them. Ecuador got 8 wins, 8 draws, and 2 losses in 18 games. The 2 losses were actually against very difficult opponents. They had a 1-0 loss to Argentina in Argentina and a 1-0 loss to Brazil in Brazil. So as you can see, this is a very tough team to beat. And the funny thing about Ecuador is that they have a very clear strength and they have a very clear weakness. During their campaign, Ecuador only conceded 5 goals in 18 games. They were by far the best defense in CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying. For context, the second best defense was Argentina and Paraguay tied. they both conceded 10 goals each, which is twice the amount that Ecuador did. So the clear strength of this team is their defense. And it helps when you have a good defensive structure, good role players, and then you also have stars like William Pacho that plays for PSG and Moises Caicedo that plays for Chelsea. But as I said, they also have a very clear weakness, and this team is allergic to scoring goals. Those are really bad allergies. Trust me, way worse than your seasonal allergies. Like this team, as good as they are defending, they're almost, I wouldn't say equally as bad attacking, but they really struggle to score. So they had the #1 defense, and they also had one of the worst offenses in CONMEBOL, with just 14 goals scored in 18 games. For context, they were only better than the bottom two, which was Chile and Peru in terms of goals scored, and they were tied with Paraguay in terms of goals scored. Obviously, they had more points. They had the #1 defense, but they had a top 3 worst offense, which kind of makes sense because you have to consider the fact that Ener Valencia still started over 70% of their games. And if he's your top center forward, you're likely going to struggle to score goals. Ecuador actually had a sequence of 4 games where they had 0-0 draws in World Cup qualifying in a row. It was 0-0 with Chile, 0-0 with Brazil, 0-0 with Peru, and 0-0 with Paraguay, which is kind of nuts. I can see why some might dislike playing Ecuador. It's likely going to be a low-scoring game when you play against them, but we must admit, it's effective, and it gets the job done. Because finishing second in World Cup qualifying in CONMEBOL while starting 3 points behind everyone, it's no joke. Ecuador is currently coached by Sebastián Beccacessi, an Argentine coach that won the Copa Sudamericana with Defensa e Justicia. Let's just say that's no easy accomplishment. Now for this camp, Ecuador will actually be missing 3 key players. Hincapié, that is an incredible center back that currently plays for Arsenal. He's on a loan. He belongs to Bayer Leverkusen. Moises Caicedo, which is their best player and one of the best midfielders in the world right now that plays for Chelsea. And Gonzalo Plata, a very talented but inconsistent winger that plays for Flamengo in Brazil. And honestly, he's a pretty damn good player, and he's been a starter for Flamengo, which is one of the best teams in South America. But they still have incredible players like Pervis Estupinan, the left back that plays for Milan, William Pacho from PSG, one of the best center backs in the world. But you gotta understand that this team ain't carried by 1 or 2 players. Obviously, Caicedo is a big loss, so even though they don't have him, this is still a very strong and very competent team. Now, remember in the beginning of the Ecuadorian section when I said they're gonna go for the win, even though this is a friendly? Usually when teams play friendlies, they want to win, but they don't care too much. But Ecuador cares. And this is not because they hate the United States of America. It has nothing to do with that. They don't hate the United States of America. Let me explain to you why Ecuador actually will probably prioritize a win over testing new systems, new players, or whatever. Okay, so Ecuador right now is ranked 24th in the FIFA rankings at the time of this recording, which would make them pot 3 for the 2026 World Cup. They want to try to win every single friendly that is left so that they can possibly become pot 2, which for the World Cup would help them a ton in terms of getting out of their group. Do you see what's going on here? So my point is that despite being a friendly, they will likely prioritize the result. They will play their best players, they will rotate only if needed, and they're going to go for the win. So what I'm saying here is less testing, more winning. Which honestly, it's great for the US men's national team. We want to actually be tested. We want to really find out our level, and we want to see if there's any progress with the national team. My overall point is that if there's any doubt about Ecuador's effort into this game, forget about it. They're going to put in effort. They want to win. They need to win, right? They don't want to be pot 3. So at times, it might not even feel like a friendly. Okay, so what's my prediction for this game? First and foremost, I kind of made this pretty clear throughout the video. I'm expecting a low-scoring game. At most, 2 goals. Now, it could be 1-1, could be 2-0 for someone, 1-0, or 0-0. I do think both sides will score. So I think this game will end in 1-1. Ecuador will struggle obviously, to score because that's what they normally do. And Gonzalo Plata not being there doesn't help. Moises Caicedo doesn't help as well if he's not there, right? He's good on offense and defense. He's not just a defender for them, right? He's a midfielder and he helps a lot on offense. So not having him won't help. But I think Ecuador will be able to score at least one goal or just score one goal. As for the United States, we're not going to score on set pieces. Ecuador is very good at defending set pieces. And the only real threat we have, I would say it's probably just Chris Richards, maybe Weston McKennie. But as I predicted, our projected starting 11 will probably be Pulisic, Malik Tillman, and Balogun. And I think with those three guys up top, something might happen at some point. And I think the U.S. will score at least one goal. So my prediction is a 1-1 draw, which from an American perspective, I don't think that's a bad result. From an Ecuadorian perspective, even though I'm not Ecuadorian, it might not be the best of results. It's not terrible to tie the United States and the U.S. What I'm hoping for is that we see progress with the U.S. men's national team. And I think a draw with Ecuador and then maybe defeating Australia when we play them next week, I don't think those are bad results. We got to go for the win, but this is a tough opponent, right? Only Brazil and Argentina defeated them in World Cup qualifying at home. But let me know your predictions in the comment section down below. Like I said, mine is 1-1. I'll see you guys on Friday for the live watch along. You better be there. Make sure to drop a like before you go. Thank you very much for watching. Oh, and of course, pray for Dustin. I mean, the dude might have to go to Montana with Spicy Jeff. No one wants that. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and have a great day.